that Kevin is in Miami with the girl.
Death to all of them.
My situation over the 12 years that I've been here entertaining you on television. Welcome to Hot Topics, Serena Hudson. Getting out of my car with my money. Good morning, Journey. She'll be almost I think she'll be 3 next month, don't you know? Good morning, Kelvin. It's my truth.
Serena Hudson eventually realized she had been going after the wrong target the whole time. The situation with Kevin Hunter made people talk everywhere because it was no secret that Kevin and Serena seemed ready to settle in comfortably, while Wendy carried the financial weight. Many insiders claimed they were fully prepared to enjoy that lifestyle without giving it a second thought.
So I'm not going to take a lot of time because, I'm getting emotional. And I told myself I wasn't going to do this.
But everything flipped upside down when Wendy stepped away from the Wendy Williams show and ended up under that troubling guardianship situation. Just like that, Kevin's easy money pipeline dried up fast. Reports say he started filing lawsuit after lawsuit, trying every move he could think of to push Wendy into funding his lifestyle again. Court documents kept stacking up, but the strategy didn't go the way he hoped. His most recent attempt got tossed right out of court, and people close to the situation say that setback hit him hard. Now the word on the street is even messier. After that legal loss, insiders claim Kevin packed up and walked away from Serena the same way people say he once walked away from Wendy and Child. And while all this legal drama was playing out, Serena suddenly vanished from public view. Her Instagram went dark, her posts disappeared, and she completely dropped off the radar while Kevin was still out there pushing those lawsuits. Nobody knew where she went or what she was doing. Now, after months of silence, we're finally about to hear what she's been keeping under wraps this whole time. As many people already know, Wendy has been dealing with serious pressure while trying to fight her way out of that guardianship situation, something she reportedly never asked for and never truly needed in the first place. For years, she has been stuck in a system that controlled major parts of her life, and supporters have been questioning how it even happened. Then, a new assessment changed everything. Reports say the evaluation confirmed that Wendy was never dealing with the illness that had been used to justify such a strict guardianship. The claim that she had dementia had been the main reason behind those heavy restrictions for more than 3 years. Because of that decision, people connected to the situation, from the court to her former manager to medical professionals to Wells Fargo, and even the Guardian, Sabrina Morrissey, were all part of the process that kept Wendy from freely accessing her own money. Now, many people watching this story say one thing loud and clear. Situations like this always circle back sooner or later, and accountability has a way of showing up.
That it was not till death do us part.
And it wasn't just an incident. I mean, the relationship that Kevin had with this woman went on for...
No. Kevin was a serial cheater. Kevin had different mistresses depending on, the part of his life. This last one was the one that he had the longest term relationship.
With this new information finally coming out, it looks like Wendy may have a real chance to push back against that controversial guardianship and finally close that chapter for good. Supporters believe this could be the moment where she regains more control over her life and finances after years of restrictions. But even with that progress, it does not necessarily mean she will jump right back into television or return to her old primetime spotlight anytime soon. And the truth is, Wendy stepping away from work shook a lot of people around her. Her absence changed the financial picture for many connected to her world, including Kevin Hunter and his mistress, Serena. When Wendy stepped away from the Wendy Williams show, a huge stream of income disappeared overnight, and that shift changed everything tied to her finances. Because of that situation, Kevin, also known as Calvin, could no longer collect the alimony he once expected. Their divorce agreement had a very specific clause, stating that if Wendy's contract was suspended or not renewed, she would not be required to continue paying him. Whoever made sure that clause ended up in the divorce papers clearly thought several steps ahead. According to people familiar with the situation, Kevin had grown very comfortable depending on Wendy's earnings for his lifestyle, and many believe he expected that support to continue for years. But once the show ended, that entire plan suddenly collapsed. Kevin reportedly walked away from the divorce with a serious financial cushion, including a large lump sum settlement and monthly alimony checks rumored to be around $250,000. That kind of money kept his lifestyle running comfortably for a while. But what he apparently never planned for was the possibility that Wendy's situation could change, or that the steady flow of money might suddenly stop. Once those payments ended, everything reportedly started falling apart fast. By 2022, Kevin was back in court trying to find a way to restart those checks, filing a lawsuit in hopes of getting financial support from Wendy again. In his filings, he claimed the situation had become extremely difficult without that income. According to the documents, he said he had fallen behind on multiple bills and was dealing with growing debt. He also explained that the community where he lived required regular homeowner association payments, and missing those could lead to serious consequences like foreclosure warnings. The financial pressure reportedly stretched into other parts of his life too. Kevin claimed he was struggling to keep up with things like car insurance for the luxury vehicles he had been driving. Credit card balances were also stacking up, which only added more stress to the situation. By the time the lawsuit was filed, reports suggested the situation had gotten so tight that he took out loans against 2 of his luxury cars through a company called Flex Wealth. On top of that, Kevin allegedly had to put the property he shared with Serena up for sale because maintaining the home without Wendy's financial support had become impossible. Without that income stream, the comfortable lifestyle they had been living suddenly looked very uncertain. The situation kept getting more uncomfortable as the financial pressure built up around Kevin and Serena. With the home reportedly going up for sale and debts piling higher, the lifestyle they had been enjoying started slipping away piece by piece. People watching the drama unfold said the reality check hit hard once the steady money was gone. What once looked like a stable setup suddenly turned into a scramble to stay afloat, and the pressure around their situation only kept growing louder. As the pressure kept building, more people began questioning how long Kevin could keep things together without that financial support. The court battle had already drawn attention, and the reports about unpaid bills and loans only made the situation look even more serious. What once appeared to be a comfortable lifestyle started looking shaky, and the tension surrounding Kevin and Serena's situation continued to grow with every new update. As time went on, the reality of the situation became harder and harder to ignore. The lifestyle Kevin once enjoyed was built around a steady flow of money, and when that stream stopped, the entire setup started to shake. Expenses that once seemed easy to manage suddenly became overwhelming, and every bill that came due only added more pressure. People watching from the outside began to notice that the image of luxury and comfort was slowly fading. The court filings and financial troubles also pulled more attention to Kevin's decisions. Critics started asking serious questions about whether he had truly prepared for life without Wendy's income supporting that level of spending. Luxury cars, expensive properties, and high-end living all come with massive costs, and once the financial safety net disappeared, keeping up that image reportedly became a serious struggle. Meanwhile, the spotlight around the situation kept growing. Every new report about unpaid bills, loans, and legal attempts to restart the payments fueled more conversation online and in the media. Some observers even pointed out that relying too heavily on someone else's income can become a risky situation if circumstances suddenly change. Behind all the headlines and speculation, one thing became clear. The comfortable life Kevin had grown used to was no longer guaranteed, and the fallout from that shift was becoming impossible for people to ignore.
Death to all of them.
As the pressure kept building, people close to the situation started noticing that things around Kevin and Serena were not looking the same anymore. The flashy lifestyle that once seemed effortless was now surrounded by questions and rumors. When money flows easily, everything appears smooth, but once that flow stops, the cracks begin to show fast. Reports suggested that maintaining the image of luxury had become a serious challenge. Expensive cars, high-end homes, and a reputation for living big all come with a price tag. And without that steady financial support, every part of that lifestyle suddenly became harder to sustain. Observers began pointing out that the entire situation looked very different from what it did just a few years earlier. At the same time, the public conversation around Kevin's legal attempts kept growing louder. Many people were surprised that he returned to court trying to restore the payments, especially after the divorce agreement had already spelled out the conditions around Wendy's contract and income. Each legal move only added more attention to the situation and brought even more eyes to the financial struggle being reported. What once looked like a comfortable setup now seemed filled with uncertainty, and the pressure surrounding Kevin and Serena's situation continued to build with every new development. As more details continued to surface, the situation around Kevin and Serena started drawing even more attention. People who had been quietly watching the drama suddenly had a lot more to say, especially as the financial struggles became harder to hide. What once looked like a confident lifestyle now seemed surrounded by uncertainty and tension. Observers pointed out that when a lifestyle is built around a very high level of spending, it can quickly become difficult to maintain if the income behind it disappears. Luxury homes, expensive vehicles, and constant high-end living come with serious costs, and without that steady support, the pressure can stack up fast. Many people began to question whether Kevin had truly planned for a future where those monthly payments might stop. Meanwhile, Serena's sudden disappearance from social media only made the situation look even more mysterious. While the legal drama played out in public, she stayed completely silent, leaving people guessing about what was really happening behind the scenes. The lack of updates only added more curiosity and speculation around their situation. With questions growing and the spotlight getting brighter, the story around Kevin and Serena was turning into one of the most talked about twists in this ongoing drama.
The longer Serena stayed silent, the more people started paying attention to her sudden disappearance. One minute she had a visible presence online, and the next minute her social media accounts went quiet, leaving followers confused about what was really going on behind the scenes. That sudden silence only made the rumors grow louder. While Kevin was busy dealing with legal battles and financial pressure, Serena seemed to step completely out of the public eye. Her Instagram was deactivated, her posts vanished, and there were no updates explaining where she had gone or what she was doing. For someone who had previously been part of such a highly talked about situation, that level of silence raised a lot of questions. Some observers believed the attention around Kevin's legal troubles may have pushed her to stay away from the spotlight for a while. Others wondered if the financial stress and public criticism had simply become too overwhelming. Either way, the sudden disappearance only added another layer of mystery to an already dramatic situation. Now, after months of staying completely quiet, people are starting to wonder if Serena is finally ready to speak up and reveal what has really been happening during all that time away from the public eye. As the months passed, the curiosity around Serena's silence only kept growing. People who had followed the drama closely started wondering what could have pushed her to disappear so completely from the public eye. When someone who was once part of such a widely discussed situation suddenly goes quiet, it naturally makes people start asking questions. Some observers believed she may have wanted distance from all the headlines surrounding Kevin's legal battles and financial issues. The constant attention, criticism, and speculation can be overwhelming, especially when every move becomes a topic of public debate. Stepping away from social media might have been her way of avoiding the noise while everything around her was unfolding. Others, however, felt there could be more to the story. With the property reportedly being put up for sale and Kevin dealing with financial pressure, many people wondered whether their relationship had also been affected behind closed doors. Situations involving money and public scrutiny can put serious strain on any partnership. Because Serena stayed silent for so long, every new rumor only made the mystery deeper. Supporters, critics, and curious onlookers were all left trying to piece together what might really be happening. And now that her name is starting to surface again, many are wondering if the truth about those missing months is finally about to come out.
The PI was taking pictures of them going to the gym, going to dinner, her with Gucci, Poochie, and Lucci.
As the story kept unfolding, the spotlight around Kevin and Serena only grew brighter. What once looked like a quiet situation behind closed doors had now turned into a topic people everywhere were discussing. When finances, legal battles, and public attention all collide at the same time, things can escalate quickly, and that is exactly what seemed to happen here. For a long time, many people believed Kevin had built a very comfortable lifestyle during his marriage to Wendy. The expensive cars, the luxury homes, and the high-profile reputation all created an image of stability and wealth. But when Wendy stepped away from her show and the income tied to it stopped flowing the way it once did, that entire setup reportedly started to unravel. The divorce agreement had already made it clear that if her contract ended or was suspended, the alimony payments would stop. Once that clause came into play, the financial picture changed overnight. That sudden shift forced Kevin to start looking for other ways to maintain the lifestyle he had been used to. The court filing showed that he attempted to restart the payments through legal action, claiming he was struggling to keep up with expenses. But the legal route did not bring the outcome he hoped for, and the judge ultimately rejected the attempt. That decision left him facing the reality of managing everything without the support he had previously relied on. While all of this was happening, Serena's silence made the situation even more intriguing. Her social media disappearance left a gap that people filled with speculation. Some believed she simply wanted to step away from the attention while the legal drama played out. Others felt the financial stress and constant headlines may have caused tension between the two behind the scenes. What made the situation even more fascinating was how quickly public perception seemed to shift. For years, many people had focused on the drama surrounding Wendy's personal life and her divorce. Now the attention had turned toward Kevin's circumstances instead. The conversation online started asking whether the lifestyle he had built was ever sustainable without Wendy's career supporting it. At the center of all this attention was one major question that nobody seemed able to answer yet. Where exactly did Serena go during those months of silence? And what was really happening behind the scenes while Kevin was dealing with lawsuits, debt pressure, and a lifestyle that was suddenly becoming harder to maintain?
That question kept hanging in the air, and the longer it went unanswered, the more people started digging for clues. Serena's sudden disappearance did not feel random to many observers. When someone who was once connected to such a public situation suddenly shuts everything down online, people naturally start wondering what might be happening behind the scenes. Before everything went quiet, Serena had been visible enough for people to recognize her connection to Kevin and the lifestyle that surrounded him. Photos, appearances, and online posts gave the impression that life was moving comfortably. But once the legal battles and financial issues started making headlines, that online presence suddenly disappeared without warning. Some people believed she simply wanted to remove herself from the storm while Kevin was facing criticism in court disputes. Public attention can become intense very quickly, and stepping away from social media is sometimes the fastest way to avoid constant questions and speculation. Others, however, felt that the silence might have been connected to deeper issues that were developing privately. Financial stress has a way of changing the dynamics in any relationship. When the pressure of bills, property decisions, and legal problems all start piling up at the same time, it can create serious tension behind closed doors. Observers who had been following the story closely began wondering whether the situation between Kevin and Serena had also shifted as those pressures grew stronger. For months, there were no answers, no posts, and no clear explanation. The silence itself became part of the mystery, leaving everyone waiting to see if Serena would eventually step forward and explain what really happened during that time.
But what I needed at the time, because I was running 100 miles an hour, and I was so much of a strong support structure for her and all the dreams that she wanted to accomplish, I needed somebody for me. And my new offspring, my daughter, who is a beautiful, beautiful spirit. She was not a oops baby. She was not a mistake baby.
As the silence stretched on, the curiosity around Serena's situation only kept building. People who had followed the story from the beginning started noticing how quickly everything around Kevin's life had shifted. Just a short time earlier, the lifestyle looked stable and comfortable, but once the financial support stopped and the legal battles began, the entire picture seemed to change almost overnight. During that period, Serena staying completely out of sight became one of the biggest mysteries surrounding the situation. No posts, no public appearances, and no comments explaining what was going on. For someone connected to such a widely discussed story, that level of quiet only made people more curious about what might have been happening behind the scenes. Some observers believed she may have been trying to protect her privacy while the situation around Kevin grew more complicated. When lawsuits, debt concerns, and public criticism are all circulating at the same time, stepping away from attention can sometimes feel like the only option. Others, however, believe the silence might have signaled that things between them were no longer as stable as they once appeared. The public had plenty of theories, but very few real answers. What everyone could agree on was that this story had taken a dramatic turn. With Kevin dealing with financial pressure and Serena remaining completely out of view, people began wondering if the next chapter of the situation would finally reveal what had truly been happening behind closed doors. Eventually, the silence started to feel impossible to ignore. People who had been following the situation closely began noticing that Serena's absence had lasted far longer than anyone expected. In an age where most people share updates constantly, disappearing completely from social media for months naturally made the mystery even bigger. During that same time, the pressure around Kevin's situation did not seem to ease up. Reports about financial struggles, legal disputes, and lifestyle changes continued to circulate, and every new update pulled more attention towards the story. The contrast between all that public drama and Serena's total silence made many people wonder what was really going on behind the scenes. Some observers began suggesting that stepping away from social media might have been a strategic move. Staying quiet can sometimes prevent a situation from becoming even more chaotic, especially when public conversations start getting intense. By not responding to speculation, Serena may have been trying to avoid becoming the center of the controversy. Others believed something much bigger may have been unfolding privately. Relationships can face serious challenges when financial stress, public scrutiny, and personal pressure all happen at the same time. With so many changes happening around Kevin's life, it left many wondering whether Serena had decided to distance herself while everything was unfolding. Whatever the real reason was, one thing became clear. The longer Serena stayed silent, the more people anticipated the moment when her side of the story might finally come into the light.
The anticipation kept growing because people knew silence like that rarely lasts forever. When someone connected to such a public situation disappears without explanation, the curiosity only builds with time. Followers, commentators, and observers all started watching closely, waiting for the moment when Serena might finally break that silence. Meanwhile, the attention surrounding Kevin's situation kept pulling the story back into the spotlight. Financial concerns, legal setbacks, and the lifestyle changes being discussed online all kept the conversation alive. Every update seemed to remind people that the situation had shifted dramatically from what it once was. For many observers, Serena's disappearance almost became a story of its own. Some believed she was carefully waiting for the right moment to speak, while others felt she may have been trying to move away from the entire situation quietly. In high-profile situations like this, staying silent can sometimes be a way to avoid adding more drama to an already tense situation. Still, the unanswered questions continued to hang in the air. What really happened behind closed doors while Kevin was dealing with financial pressure and legal problems? Did the stress affect their relationship in ways the public never saw? Or was Serena simply choosing to step away from the spotlight for her own peace? Whatever the truth may be, one thing was certain. The moment Serena decided to reappear or speak out, people knew the conversation around this entire situation would explode with attention all over again. And that is exactly why people have been watching so closely for any sign of movement from Serena. When someone disappears from the spotlight during a moment of intense public drama, it often means there is more happening behind the scenes than anyone realizes. The longer the silence lasted, the more people felt that something important was eventually going to surface. At the same time, Kevin's situation continued drawing attention. His legal attempts, the financial pressure he described in court documents, and the sudden lifestyle changes all kept the story circulating online and in entertainment discussions. What once looked like a steady and comfortable setup had turned into a complicated situation filled with questions. Because Serena had been connected to Kevin during the height of that lifestyle, people naturally wondered how those changes affected her as well. When finances shift and public scrutiny grows, relationships can face serious strain. Some observers believed the stress surrounding Kevin's legal and financial troubles may have created tension that the public never saw. Others thought Serena's silence might have been a way to avoid getting pulled deeper into the controversy. By stepping away from social media and public conversations, she may have been trying to distance herself from the headlines while everything unfolded. But no matter what the real reason was, one thing kept people curious. Serena had been gone for months, and everyone knew that when someone stays quiet for that long, the moment they finally return often comes with answers people have been waiting to hear.
You left your wife. Now, we may not care about her on the show. That's different. But you left your wife. Got you a side piece, had a baby, and was living a whole different life. And evidently, Wendy Williams was the real bread maker. Because now you can't live that lifestyle without that check. The grass wasn't greener, huh?
That possibility is exactly what kept the public watching so closely. When someone connected to such a widely discussed situation suddenly vanishes and stays quiet for months, people naturally start wondering what the comeback might look like. Would Serena return quietly, or would her reappearance come with a story that changes how everyone sees the situation? By this point, the entire narrative around Kevin had already shifted. The lawsuits, the financial pressure he described, and the reports about selling property and managing debts had painted a very different picture from the lifestyle many people once associated with him. The conversation online kept circling around one big idea. What happens when a lifestyle built on someone else's success suddenly loses its foundation? Because Serena had been closely tied to Kevin during that time, people assumed she had seen much more than the public ever did. Living around that environment means witnessing the changes as they happen, from the comfortable moments to the stressful ones that rarely make headlines. That is why so many observers believe her perspective could reveal details that nobody outside that circle ever knew. The mystery surrounding her silence had now stretched for months, and every passing week only made the curiosity stronger. Whether she had stepped away to protect her privacy, to escape the public pressure, or to deal with personal challenges, one thing remained clear. If Serena ever decided to speak openly about what really happened during that chaotic period, the story could take a turn that nobody saw coming. That is why so many people have been waiting to see what Serena might do next. When someone who has been connected to such a public situation suddenly disappears and stays silent through months of headlines, it often means there are details the public has not heard yet, and naturally, that possibility keeps the curiosity alive. The entire situation around Kevin had already sparked intense conversation. Reports about financial strain, legal filings, and lifestyle adjustments painted a picture that looked very different from the one people had seen before. The shift was dramatic, and it left many observers wondering how everything behind the scenes had truly unfolded during that time. Because Serena was present during much of that period, many people believe she likely witnessed the changes up close. The transition from a comfortable lifestyle to dealing with legal and financial pressure is not something that happens quietly. Those kinds of shifts can affect every part of a person's environment, from daily routines to relationships. That is why her months of silence continue to stand out. Some believe she may have simply wanted to avoid the spotlight while the situation played out publicly. Others think she might have been waiting for the right moment before saying anything at all. Either way, the mystery around her absence has only made people more curious about what she might eventually reveal about everything that was happening during those chaotic months.
By this stage, the curiosity had reached another level. People who had been quietly following the situation from the beginning were now paying even closer attention because it felt like something was eventually going to surface. Stories like this rarely stay quiet forever, especially when so many questions are still floating around. Kevin's situation had already gone through a major shift. The legal filings, the discussions about money problems, and the reports about major lifestyle changes all created a completely different narrative from what people once believed. What used to look like a stable and comfortable setup had now turned into a complicated situation that many were trying to understand. Because Serena had been connected to Kevin during that time, many people believed she might hold important pieces of the story that the public had never heard. Living close to a situation like that means seeing the real moments that never make it into headlines. Those private experiences can sometimes reveal a side of events that outsiders simply cannot see. That is exactly why the mystery around her disappearance kept people talking. Months had passed without a single update, and the silence itself had become part of the drama. Everyone seemed to be waiting for the same thing, the moment Serena finally reappeared and revealed what had really been happening during all that time away from the spotlight. As the story kept developing, people started realizing that Serena's silence might have been more calculated than anyone first thought. Disappearing during the peak of the drama meant she avoided getting pulled into every headline, every debate, and every wave of criticism that was circulating around Kevin's situation. In a way, staying quiet may have helped her keep some distance from the chaos. At the same time, the public conversation around Kevin did not slow down. Reports about his financial struggles, the legal filings, and the lifestyle changes continued to circulate, and each new update reminded people how dramatically things had shifted. What once looked like a life built on luxury and stability now appeared to be facing serious challenges. Because Serena had been connected to Kevin during the height of that lifestyle, many people assumed she had seen those changes happen up close. When money pressures and public scrutiny hit at the same time, the impact can reach every corner of a person's life. That is why so many observers believe there is more to the story than what has already been reported. And that brings the attention right back to Serena again. After months of silence and staying completely out of the spotlight, people are now wondering if the moment is getting closer for her to finally step forward and explain what really went on during that intense and confusing period.
The closer people looked at the situation, the more it felt like Serena's silence was building towards something bigger. Months had already passed without a single public update from her. And in today's world, that kind of disappearance rarely goes unnoticed. Every week that went by only made the curiosity stronger. Meanwhile, the attention around Kevin's circumstances continued to grow. The legal filings, the financial pressures described in court, and the reports about lifestyle changes kept circulating online. What once appeared to be a comfortable and stable situation now looked very different, and the contrast between the past and present had people talking everywhere. Because Serena had been closely connected to Kevin during that time, many observers believe she might hold key details about how things actually unfolded behind the scenes. Public reports can only reveal so much, but the people who live through those moments often understand the full picture in ways the outside world cannot see. That is exactly why so many people have been waiting to hear if she will eventually speak out. There is also the possibility that Serena has simply been watching everything from a distance while the headlines continue to swirl. Sometimes stepping away from the spotlight allows a person to observe how events unfold without becoming the center of the storm. But one thing remains clear. If Serena ever decides to finally break that long silence, the story surrounding Kevin's situation could suddenly take a turn that captures everyone's attention all over again. By now, the silence surrounding Serena had become just as talked about as the drama itself. People kept asking the same question again and again. Why disappear completely during one of the most intense moments of the situation? When someone connected to such a widely discussed story suddenly goes quiet, it only makes others look closer for answers. At the same time, Kevin's circumstances continued to shift in ways that surprised many observers. The reports about financial pressure, the legal attempts to restore payments, and the lifestyle adjustments being discussed online painted a picture that looked very different from the one people had seen years earlier. The contrast between those two periods was hard to ignore. Because Serena had been present during that chapter of Kevin's life, many people believe she likely saw how those changes unfolded from the inside. Moments that appear sudden to the public can often build slowly behind closed doors. Financial stress, legal battles, and public attention all at once can create an environment that is difficult for anyone involved. That is exactly why her absence continues to stand out. Months have passed with no public explanation, leaving supporters and critics alike trying to piece together what might have happened. And now, the attention is slowly shifting back towards Serena again, as more people begin to wonder whether the time is finally approaching for her to step forward and share her side of what really went on during that dramatic period.
Kevin's legal battle definitely did not go the way he expected. The court threw his lawsuit out, shutting down that attempt to get the money flowing again. But it didn't take long before he tried a completely different strategy. In 2024, Kevin came forward with a new claim, alleging that Wendy had hidden more than $48 million during their divorce proceedings, and arguing that the entire divorce should be set aside. That accusation immediately raised eyebrows, because reopening a divorce case like that would mean dragging everyone back through a long and messy legal fight all over again. Many observers were stunned that Kevin appeared willing to push things that far just to try and secure more money. But once again, the court did not side with him, leaving that attempt going nowhere. Earlier this year, Kevin launched yet another lawsuit, this time demanding $250 million in damages. The case named Wells Fargo, Wendy's court-appointed guardian, and several others connected to her guardianship. According to his claims, he was filing the lawsuit on Wendy's behalf, arguing that her constitutional rights had been violated and that the guardianship system had defrauded both of them. So, in a twist that caught many people off guard, Kevin went from suing Wendy directly to targeting the people who controlled access to her finances. The filing brought attention to the complicated network of decisions surrounding Wendy's guardianship, including the role of banks, legal authorities, and appointed guardians. The lawsuit sparked a lot of conversation because it highlighted just how tightly controlled Wendy's financial situation had become during that period. Still, even with those claims raising questions about the guardianship process, many people remained skeptical about Kevin's true motivation. Critics pointed out that he was no longer Wendy's husband, he did not hold power of attorney, and he did not have legal authority to act on behalf of their adult child. Because of that, some observers believed the lawsuit looked less like advocacy and more like another attempt to access money.
And according to sources following the situation, Kevin's financial challenges were not the only thing creating pressure in his life. The lifestyle changes reportedly started affecting his relationship with Serena as well. When financial stress enters the picture, it can quickly create tension, and insiders claimed the two began arguing about what their next steps should be. Serena herself reportedly began focusing more seriously on her own work. She continued running her vegan food business, though reports suggested it was not generating major income. At the same time, she obtained a real estate license in Florida and began promoting her services to potential clients. As the pressure continued building, more reports surfaced claiming Kevin had fallen behind on certain financial responsibilities and was trying to rebuild his situation. Around that same time, Serena made her Instagram account private and stepped away from the spotlight. Some sources even suggested she temporarily moved back in with family while reorganizing her finances. Recently, however, Serena appears to have re-emerged online with a very different approach. Her social media presence now focuses heavily on promoting her work, advertising real estate services, and marketing products connected to her wellness brand. The tone of her profile reportedly shifted from highlighting a luxury lifestyle to emphasizing business and independence. With all these changes happening, rumors quickly began circulating that Kevin and Serena may have gone their separate ways. While that claim has not gone officially confirmed, many people following the story have noticed the visible shift in how both of them are moving forward. Seeing the situation evolve this way has sparked strong reactions online. Some observers say the entire situation feels like a harsh lesson about relying too heavily on someone else's financial success. Others believe the story is simply an example of how quickly circumstances can change when careers, legal battles, and money all collide at once.